Okay, I'm calling the committee meeting of the Transportation Committee to order. A physical quorum of the members is physically present. I will entertain a motion to permit members not physically present due to employment purposes to attend this meeting via video. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now I will ask for a roll call, please.
Chaplin,
Here.
Desart,
Here.
Krajewski,
Here.
Ozog,
Here.
Kachalski,
Here.
and Zay.
All right, we have a quorum. Under chairman's remarks, I just have something brief. I think we all saw a certain article or opinion in the Daily Herald that was regarding the trails, and it was bothersome to me because they never contacted staff. They never contacted anybody on this committee, and they weren't aware that we regularly assess all trails. We've done 2 engineering studies, that we did a speed study, and I will bring it up more in close when we have the old business, because it was something that I thought the article left a lot off the table, and I'd like to address that because this committee works collaboratively together, and we've already addressed this just numerous times. And I thought it was just, I don't know, you want to call it a problem that they didn't contact this committee, this chair, or any member of this committee as to all the things we've done regarding that. So we will bring that up in old business. Okay, public comments. Per the DuPage County Board rules, each in-person remark or electronic submission shall not exceed 3 minutes in length. The total time for all public comment shall not exceed 30 minutes. We do have public comment today. And first we have Christine Welsh, who's a homeowner in Lisle, who wants to talk about College Road shouldn't be a county road.
Christine, that's me.
If you want to stand up and
Oh, sure.
so you can be on, we videotape all of our meetings, so it'd be good. So is right there fine for you guys? Okay, that would be fine.
I'm not good at public
Well, you
speaking.
know
so
what,
I'm gonna
I'm
make
sure.
it maybe
Yeah.
less than 3
All right.
minutes, but College Road has become a drag strip for trucks. It's 2 lanes, not 4 or 5. It's 2. I have picked up more dead wildlife. That is a residential community. You have a college, a high school, Villa St. Benedict, and an abbey, which has plenty of deer. I have seen all of the above in the street, on the road. I have picked up ducks, baby ducklings last week. I picked up a turtle that was at Benedictine. He went in the parking lot and I couldn't see him getting lost or run over by a car. That is terrible to have that street ransacked by these trucks. They come from the quarry, they come from both sides, and they come at a disgustingly fast route. When they come from the quarry, I'm there. I live not on College, but I live right before Abbeywood, where the Green Trail sign is. I live in that condo building right behind. I wake up with these trucks. I see them all day long. I can't talk on the phone. It's that noisy. It's that crowded with trucks. And when they talk about weight limits, when you have 3, 4 gravel trucks going by, that's overload right there. They're talking about per truck overload. What about when they're in a parade? It is far beyond anything. I've been there 27 years. It has probably been worse this year and last year than ever before. There are more and more trucks. There are IDOT trucks. I get Coca-Cola. I get the delivery trucks for the stores, Mariano's down on 75th Street. There's trucks of all kinds on that road, and they shouldn't be there. We value that area. It's private, it's quiet. The reason why we have so much wildlife is because we have so many little ponds there. We have the biking trails. We have a lot of amenities for wildlife to be there. But more than that, we want to be there. We don't want to be afraid to cross the street. I know women that have little children. There's a park kitty corner from me on Abbeywood and College. They're afraid to go across the street because of getting hit by those trucks. Don't care. Wildlife, they couldn't stop if they wanted to with the load that they're carrying. And that's wrong. That it's a quiet, it used to be quiet. Now it's horrible. I mean, I could cry with the animals I picked up.
All right.
And like I said, there was a duck in the road just last week. The cars were going around the duck on
Can you
College.
bring your comments to your past our 3 minutes, and we have other people? Can you kind of bring it to a conclusion?
Or what I'm saying is I pick up wildlife that I shouldn't have to, and other people do too. They pick them up with shovels. That's so bad. Okay, sorry.
Did we have to sign up for comments?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
there.
Okay, next is Martin Casey of Naperville, who wants to also deal with truck traffic noise.
I know this sounds like a setup, but it wasn't set up here. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, Hops and Villas, which is on the corner of Worley and 75th Street. And in the last 3 months, I get daily comments about gravel trucks traffic along Worley Road. And as the lady previously said, it's a 2-lane highway, and it's starting as early as 6:15 in the morning.
Yes.
So it's, I can't give you statistics. I can't tell you weight limits. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I'm getting daily phone calls from residents. It's a 42 unit retirement complex or townhouse complex on Worley and 75th. And I don't know what action you can take. I guess the direction that I get most of the comments are, could they use a 4-lane highway? Could they use 53? Could they use another avenue to go through? So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your service to the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Carol Klopp, if I'm pronouncing it right.
My concerns are for Hops and Villas as well. College is not isolated. It becomes Worley, becomes 75th, and all that noise that they're hearing on College Road, we're hearing on Worley and we're hearing on 75th. So if anything you can do to alleviate this noise, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Carol. Next is Barbara Albrecht, also about truck traffic noise.
Yes, and I live in Hops and Villas also. I went out and measured today. I'm 100 feet from Worley. There's no, what do you call it, side areas. It's just 4 lanes straight. And I also got a little meter on my phone, just for sound. I know it's not probably the best, but kind of a decimal kind of a meter. And I've been trying it out lately. And so just with regular traffic, it's like in the 50s. Maybe a delivery truck, a low 60. And so I was out this morning, 82 when one of the gravel trucks went by. It's just an astounding amount of noise. So I can't really use my deck during the day when the trucks are going by. It's just, it's too noisy. So I'm a little sad about that, because when I moved in, I've been there probably 17 years. I didn't notice any of that kind of traffic, and I'm from the area since the 70s, and there was never traffic like that on Worley. So again, I'm not quite sure what can be done, but I thought I would at least express my concerns about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out. And our last is Larry. I can read your points.
Yes, ironically, I don't even know these people, but I called up the county earlier. I live in the corner of Green and 75th, and I've lived there 20 years. And the same comment, we have not had noise like that when we moved in. And this year it's unbelievable. And you're lucky it starts at 6. Ours starts at 5:30. And I called the tollway. These trucks aren't even allowed on the tollway. They're so heavy, but yet they allow them on Green Road and 75th. And interestingly, they can't use Royce Road either. This gravel pit's in Will County, but all the trucks come up and use DuPage roads. I followed them. They come up on Green Road into DuPage, and then they go back down into Will County. And it's just amazing, the noise. And also they don't cover the loads. We've had 2 windshields broken following these trucks. They just bounce down the road, gravel's flying out, and they don't seem concerned at all. They put a chip and a brake in the windshield. They hit animals. We can feel the vibrations. And I'm just shocked that they allow trucks that heavy to go on the road. And this is the first year. I don't like to complain. I know if you live in a golf course, you shouldn't complain. Hasn't been bad in 19 years, but this year, apparently they raised the weight limit. And I drive a Prius. I swear those trucks, we're right on the hill west of Green Road, and they emit more emissions going up that hill in one trip than our Prius does in its lifetime. And yet I have to go through the emissions check every 2 years. I don't think anybody checks these trucks. And unfortunately, I didn't take my phone, I should have, to check the noise level. It's just incredible when they're going up that hill west of Green Road. And it's never watched with the police. There appears to be no, and that's one question I had. Who's supposed to monitor that? I've called the county. They said Woodridge. I called Woodridge and they said the county. Between Green Road and Thornberry on 75th. So if somebody can tell me who's supposed to monitor. I've complained to both, both say the other is supposed to monitor. So just wonder what's going on with these trucks and that's my.
Thank you, Larry, for your public comment. I think that concludes public comment. There's nobody else here that wants to publicly comment. Thank you for your comments, and staff will be looking at these and reviewing everything, and hopefully we'll have some report or something on these issues, because I think there's 5 of you here. There could have been 55 of you here, and there's a lot of issues that were raised, and we'll let staff look at them. All right. May I have a motion to approve the Transportation
So moved.
Committee minutes of August 2nd, 2022? I have a motion at second.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. Okay. Any changes, alterations, or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is number 6, procurement requisitions. I have a motion to approve DTP 023822, recommendation approval contract to LRS Holdings LLC, DBA Lakeshore Recycling Systems LLC for solid waste disposal services as needed for a total amount not to exceed $45,000. We had a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next, may I have a motion to approve DTP 0239-22, recommendation for approval contract issue to
So
Santa
moved.
Cruz Associates Limited, DBA Santa Cruz Land Acquisition for professional right-of-way negotiation services for a contract amount of $100,000. Any questions? I had one. How come it says not to exceed? Is a contract amount usually?
It's a various.
Okay.
So we'll issue work orders on a per parcel basis
All right.
up to as close as we can get, or as, or the time limit to 100,000.
All right, that's fine. Okay. All right, the minute, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 7 change orders. I'd like the motion to combine and approve
So
change
moved.
order A, B, C, D, and E, which are all decrease and close out of various contracts. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is agenda item 8, which is amending resolutions. Might have an amendment to DTR 05.
I'm sorry, Chairman, we moved to combine, did we move to approve?
I
Actually said combine and.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I checked it with the
Sorry.
state
And yes,
attorney.
the other time if you could do that.
Okay, gotcha,
It's
sorry.
something that we always have, but my motion was to combine it
And it was,
for our
it was.
discussion before the meeting.
That's
Thank
allowed.
you, sorry, Chair, good to know.
Yes, it is. It's allowed in this meeting. Next week it'll be.
In
different.
transportation.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
And we move it, because we move it along.
That's right.
I just want to make sure we're legal.
I know, I agree. I brought the same thing up, so I was gonna do separately like we usually do, but our state's attorney's opinion says we could combine and approve, which was done.
She's the boss.
Passed. Okay, now we go to agenda item 8,
So
which is
moved.
amending resolution, which is, I don't know if I did it, but I'll do it again. Amendment to DTR 0522A-21, amendment to a resolution. The local public agency, Williams County, DuPage, and the Illinois Department of Transportation for improvements along 87th Street and the county adjustment. I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is a motion to approve amendment to DTR 0953A18, amendment to a resolution issued to the city of Darien for mowing of grass and vegetation growing along the roads and right of ways under the jurisdiction of DuPage County to decrease the amount of $30 and resulting in a final cost of $120,150. Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 8C, which is an amendment to DTR 0400A20, amendment to a resolution issued to
Second.
Brothers Asphalt for 2020
So moved.
Downers Grove Township Road Maintenance Program to
Second.
decrease the funding in the amount of $1,120.08, resulting in a final county cost of $782,260.43. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is a motion to approve 8D, which is amendment to DTR 0338B-20, amendment to a resolution issued to Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc. for the Lyle Township 2020 Road Maintenance Program to decrease the funding in the amount of $2,697.38, resulting in a county cost of $800,157.62. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 8E, which is amendment to DTR 0338A 21, amendment to a resolution issued to Hurley Heat Mid-Continent Company for the improvements along
So moved.
St. Charles Road over the
Second.
East Bridge of the DuPage River to decrease the funding in the amount of $12,508.76, resulting in a county cost of $255,359.24. I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 8F, which is amendment to DTR 0232C-14, amendment to a resolution to a local agency agreement to the Illinois Department of Transportation to improvements
So
along
moved.
Fabian Parkway and Illinois Route 83 to decrease the funding $4,313.01 and result in a final county cost of $1,588,346.99. A motion is second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Finally, 8G, amendment to DTR 03068-22, an amendment to a resolution to authorize the Department of Transportation
So moved.
to process the FY23 and FY24 recommended vehicle replenishment purchase orders, broadening the scope of vehicles and cooperatives. We had a motion and a second. Thank you for doing that, Chris. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next is agenda item 9, which is intergovernmental agreements. Motion to approve DTR 0322-22, an intergovernmental agreement between County of DuPage and City of Naperville to extend the road servicing beyond county rights of ways on multiple side streets along Hobson Road within the city. County to be reimbursed $19,539.19. Motion and second. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
These two here, we just, because we're out there doing Hobson, so we just reached out to say the side streets were doing.
Yeah,
it.
let's see, Naperville reached out to us and then we reached out since Naperville wanted it. So normally our resurfacing either goes straight through or to the right of way, but then they did work 500 feet back or 100 feet back. They're like, can you connect it out?
What about, then we did Lyle next one, and then is Woodridge in part on along there too, on that route?
75th Street.
No,
This is
it's
Hobson Road. Yeah, I
We're doing
can
Lyle
check.
Township, maybe we
Yeah.
should just reach out.
I
to
can
Woodridge,
make
too, if
sure-
we're out there.
Yeah, because sometimes we do go far enough away and there is a joint, a logical stopping place for the other jurisdiction. In some of these, it wasn't necessarily right there, it was farther down, so
Okay.
we don't.
Because I know, so, yeah, so we did Naperville, we got Lyle Township roads next,
Yeah.
I figured Woodridge is out there.
We'll
too.
check on it.
All right, good point. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 9D, which is DTR 0323-22, an intergovernmental
So
agreement to
moved.
the county Jason Lyle Road District to extend road resurfacing beyond county rights of way and multiple side streets along Hobson Road to Lyle Township. County to reimburse $14,765.73. Have a motion second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Am I allowed to combine and approve 10A through I?
You are.
Okay.
Feel like I don't-
Item 10 is authorization to travel. I would like a motion to combine and approve
Second.
10 items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I, which are all authorizations for various travel for different people who are basically going to Effingham, Illinois, but you know. All right, so I have a motion, a second to combine and approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Next is 11. Do we have any reports from our state's attorney?
That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, number 12, we have old business. We have Canadian Pacific Railway and Kansas City Southern proposed merger update. Chris, do you want to do that?
Yeah, just want to give you a quick update. So the draft EIS for that document was released last week. The EIS is actually prepared by the Office of Environmental Analysis out of the Surface Transportation Board. So the Surface Transportation Board will make the final decision on this merger. And so they are tasked with their division doing the EIS document for the merger. Remember, this merger extends from Canada all the way to Mexico. So it's quite a broad area. So the comments are due the 26th. There is a public hearing in Itasca on the 12th from 6 to 8. As you know, DuPage County has been working collaboratively with a coalition of municipalities in the corridor. The coalition council will take the lead on reviewing the document, the EIS. They have asked for some specialized technical input from DuPage County, mostly on the traffic safety and traffic impacts of this merger. What's disappointing at first blush from this reading is that the exercise by the OEA, Office of Environmental Analysis, indicated no adverse impact by increasing the number of trains from 3 to 8 up to 14. So this is the first time we're hearing now 14 trains. So they came back, no mitigation, no safety concerns. So they're not They have not identified any need for mitigation relative to emergency responses. Same thing with travel delay. So DuPage County took the lead through on a time delay study. It's quite significant in terms of the delays that 8 to 14 trains will result in. We are still going through our critical in-house review before we kind of disclose what those are, but they're significant. And so we've been asked to kind of essentially comment on those two sections on behalf of the coalition that will be brought together, that will be kind of combined for the coalition's responses to the draft EIS. Let's see. The other thing, there is an STB hearing in DC. So the hearing that's going to be in Itasca deals with the draft environmental impact statement in terms of that document. The hearing in DC will be based on the merits of the merger from a competition. That's what the STB basically covers, is competitive nature. The coalition is now developing a strategy for how the coalition wants to be represented in DC, and I'll keep this committee, Chairman Cronin, advised of that when it comes through.
I just want to say, have you done? I'm sorry, I had issues.
I am now, Chairman.
All right, I just want to say at our last meeting, you hit a home run with the comments you made regarding what you had suffered last time around. And I was going to just reiterate those for our committee. I'd appreciate that.
Well, I purchased my house in 1987, and the Chicago and Northwestern was purchased by the Union Pacific in 1996. I had just built an addition on my house and had a fourth baby, so I wasn't moving. I don't know the exact percentage, but our entire neighborhood was eventually reclassified for purposes of property tax values because the traffic, the noise, their operating situation is Chicago North, or the UP will actually park trains right outside. I live just about 2 blocks east of downtown Glen Ellen. They will park trains outside my house. One time about 10 years ago, they left one running for the entire Labor Day weekend. And this is the engine operating, and they didn't even know it was there. We were calling Omaha. But it's a really big impact. And then in Glen Ellen, thankfully, we have one underpass, a 1-lane underpass, but often there's delays, et cetera. But when they say 8 to 14, I totally don't believe that.
3 times.
It will be at least 3 times that. And I believe our traffic increased by 30 to 40%. So there's about 120 trains running by my house every day. We stayed put because we were 2 blocks from the train and taking it downtown, but the impact is really huge. And my property value has definitely suffered. And it's been something that I personally would like to plan to go to that and testify as a private citizen, because the impact is really something. And, you know, the problem is, thanks to the Interstate Commerce Commission, railroads pretty much do what they want.
I don't think we have much.
We don't have much we can say.
We're trying to
but at least-
negotiate a bone, and that's about it. But yes,
It's at least raising your voice. Back in the late 90s, there was a rule instituted throughout the country where every every train is supposed to blow their horns. Because we fought that, and we fought with state legislatures and had our congressmen involved. They did exclude all of northeastern Illinois from that because we have so many land grade crossings. So, you know, you do what you can, but it's definitely going to be more of an impact than. So we should say as much as we can while we can. Thank you,
Jim,
Chairman.
you bring up the public safety component at that meeting with the ambulances and critical stuff like that, which, you know, it's going to increase. I mean, that's something that the staff have anything to add on this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chairman, that, you know, the Village of Hanover Park actually at the meeting with Congressman Christian Murphy, the EMS services presented a really nice case for, you know, why they object to the merger and the rail freight industry additions. They also talked about Metra as well, having a serious objection to the added freight. Now that this is a Metro Milwaukee District West line where they operate their regular services, so that is a real concern for them, and I think they are actually objecting to some of the freight component as well.
Isn't that the best we can hope for, is we just limit what they're going to do with it? I mean, that seems to me, I know we're part of that coalition, but, you know, for the.
Well, I do think that having a voice, and a coalition is helpful. If you remember, the case they keep pointing to was the last time this happened nationally was when the CN purchased EJ&E just on the outskirts of our county. And it was through the draft environmental impact statement process and the public engagement that I believe two in Illinois and one in Indiana, grade separations were constructed for mitigation, whether it's traffic delays or emergency responses. So I think the fact that we've got a coordinated group and a coordinated effort that certainly the coalition shot for the moon with $9.5 billion worth of mitigation. DuPage County is taking the lead, working with our municipal partners, public works, village engineers, and emergency responders to actually organize a tabletop exercise based on the time delay, based on where the hospitals are, the emergency responders begin and end, what would be basically our must-haves in order for this to be safe and for our community, recognizing that the history is it's more likely going to go favorable for the railroad.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to make sure our concerns are addressed.
And that's what I was talking about too, because I was on the Railroad Safety Council for a lot of years, and the increase of train traffic, you have cars colliding with trains, you have more opportunities for suicide. I mean, there's a lot of people that walk in front of a train. There's and then like you said, the grade crossings, right? I mean, if somehow we can get some of those separations in this deal, because that's the real concern too, or just the accidents are gonna, the increase in accidents and the safety component. But,
And unlike the East Coast, we have, most of ours are at grade.
that's,
Where on the
yes.
East Coast, you've got them, they're definitely, and it's just a whole different geography with how they were constructed here, so it really impacts.
You see a lot more, even the 4 quad gates, which they're not foolproof. I mean, they're a little improvement. It's not as good as a grade separation, but any kind of safety improvements that we can advocate for, because this is gonna go through, I mean. They're gonna-
I just used the EMS for the funding for the grade separation when we did the one at Downers. We said we had 6 crossings.
Didn't you have a statistic where it's gonna be instead of 4 minutes, it'd be 12?
Well, we
or
had
something?
6, what we had is we had 6 grade crossings that weren't separated.
And no,
So when we were doing the Belmont underpass, we said we have Good Sam Hospital, which was the only trauma one, center hospital in the area. So not only Downers Grove, but we had Woodridge, Lyle, Darien fire districts all send us letters talking about how important it was time getting people to the hospital. And if we had 1 grade separation, they could use that without having to worry about going down one of the streets, and especially Main Street, and then it's stuck by a train, freight train for 10 minutes. So, I mean, I think 2 things. One is you get as many of the, I don't know where all the hospitals are located, where all the fire districts are, or the ambulances, and just this year, any increase in traffic is gonna potentially stop them on one side of the tracks for however long it is. And, it may help in getting maybe funding to separate a major road that's near a hospital. You may get that as your bone.
Yeah. Well, I remember I agree with Mary said, when they tell you 8 to 14, it's gonna be 3 times that, and the length of the cars are gonna be double. So, what you think you're getting and what you will get eventually is 2 different stories.
I mean,
Ron, do you have any?
I just say that Main Street, when we were trying to get funding, this is Downers, we did it at Belmont, but you would see an ambulance sitting right there at the tracks, and you'd see one freight one way,
oh
and
yeah,
then another freight going the other way, and that poor guy is sitting there for 20 minutes. And
So that's the purpose of the tabletop exercise now, to bring together the first responders and say, where are you coming from and where are you going? Where's the hospitals? Trauma centers, that's a good point to raise. And the hospitals, there's special recognition of some of those. And so, then begin to put together what we think is kind of the package in response to the draft EIS to say, okay, here's our comments, but in addition, here's the mitigation measures that when you're thinking life safety, we need to seriously consider.
when you start talking about some people may die because they don't have it, how many more deaths are gonna be occurring?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Get somebody to a hospital on time, that starts getting a few people there to listen.
And Chris, what about, so what type of freight, can any hazardous materials be coming through and all of that? I mean, is there gonna be any kind of,
There has been discussion of that. That's, I think, on the margin of what we're looking at. I think they're looking at containers and freight and supply chain. Obviously, their destination, Bensonville Yard coming through here and the whole south cargo area of Ware. So I think it's going to be that more freight, but you're right, the exposure, the possibility of hazardous chemicals coming to the region would obviously increase proportionally.
right, with a derailment or something, because we had that training years ago, which was a great exercise too, but that's something else that's. a
Oh, I remember
concern.
that. All right, anybody else on this? But I'd like to go into the Daily Herald, I sent a letter to the editor yesterday on this, because I thought that article, and Dawn, you're a journalist, but boy, at least you pick up the phone and you call Chris Snyder, you call somebody in the committee, because that opinion or that article failed to discuss engineering studies, realignment studies, a speed study, and all the things that we've done. And there was nothing that brought this out. There's been, they make it look like there's just been a fatality or something, and there hasn't been. We've been very proactive, not reactive. And it's just, I was surprised when I read this, because typically the Daily Herald, I don't know if that's due diligence, but as a journalist, why don't you give us I'm curious to have your opinion on that article being on this committee.
Well, I mean, in my work, we can't publish anything unless we have it checked and double checked. In fact, journalism 101 is, if your mama says she loves you, check it out. Make sure you get the facts before you publish anything. So they should have called you or called Mr. Snyder and gotten the facts before they published anything.
I agree.
Didn't we even go over this when we had those meetings with Sid, remember? And we talked about the trail and we addressed all of that in that meeting, I believe, right? Through that study or, right?
June
Right.
21st committee meeting, we met.
Yeah.
I think the prior winter, we were asked to do an updated traffic study
Yes.
on signal warrants. We didn't do it during the winter because the path has very low usage. We waited to peak season.
Correct.
And so we did the signal warrant study similar to 2015. Warrants were not satisfied. The direction from this committee was, should we look at a realignment and move it to the signal to St. Charles? So that is being scoped as we speak. We were also asked to look at a speed study. We performed that. The timing was we couldn't bring it forward to committee this week, but if there is my recommendation, I would like to suggest, it is staff's recommendation to lower the speed limit from 45 to 40. And staff would entertain support to move this to county board next week and discharge committee and implement that decrease in speed as soon as we get signs erected following county board approval, if in fact they approve.
I think that's great. Does anybody not agree with sending it to county board next week to reduce it by 45 to 40? So you have that direction, and then Dawn, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is there a way that we can study various times? Because I think that dusk is one of the most dangerous times to be a bicyclist or a jogger, because it's so hard to see when you're driving. It's so hard to see things in the roadway. Dusk is the most dangerous time. So maybe if we did a study that wasn't in general, but focused on dangerous times of day, that would give us the best practice. Does that make sense?
Well, I know for the signal warrant, we perform it at times where, we want to give the advantage to the path where there's peak usage.
Right.
Obviously, not obviously, but we did also look at the accident experience for the last 5 years. And that covers, 24/7 for 5 years. And so there isn't anything that distinguishes this crossing from any other crossing on our system. So we've looked at the current crossing multiple times. We looked at the intersection 200 feet to the south. That doesn't generate the volume. So, looking at a realignment, an appropriate realignment, taking someone to the road, going north 1,000 feet, crossing and coming south, we know what's going to happen. They're going to avoid that. So we got to look at a complete realignment of the path to direct people away from the current crossing to St. Charles. See what that costs. It's the path, it's the signal modernization, and is there another option to that depending on the expense?
All right. Oh, Jim, did you want to make a comment? I saw your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Don. I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. That editorial made it sound like we haven't done anything. And this committee and our staff has really been proactive over the years on this crossing here. And I just thought it just sent a bad message. It didn't, put into account all the efforts we've gone through and that we do care about safety. And that just seemed like this was Friends of the Great Western Trail went to them and they didn't feel like, going and actually getting, what we've done and, what we're looking at and what other responsibilities are out there. And things have changed. And I appreciate, we do know there's a development there and now there's houses and more more cars coming out. So, reducing the speed limit's going to help. But again, they should have done their job and talked to somebody at the county and, at least put in there with the efforts we've gone through to make sure that this is, safe and meeting, the standards the state sets forward for us.
Thank you, Rick. I agree. Anybody else have anything regarding this issue? Anybody have anything else under old business? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so I understand that at the last transportation meeting, I came in a few minutes late. But you guys were talking about the RTA tax
Mhm.
and getting some of that into the budget. So I think we may try to, start out with a small amount of the RTA tax funding transportation this year, which I know you've pushed for.
We do it every year. We
Member Krajewski's
complain
pushed
about
for.
it, move on.
So I think we're gonna
Thank
make
you.
it.
That would be great,
we're gonna make
because
it a
that's what the
real
intended
priority.
purpose is. I know it's public safety as
Yeah.
well, but we should get something
I
because,
think part of it is the surplus, we have a huge surplus, so I
Yes.
think we're gonna ask for that surplus 2 million.
well, that's only
From this
reasonable.
year.
That's only
Right.
reasonable. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
To
Thank you.
start, was brought it up, but to start, moving just.
We can
Using
account for the money. We can do
Or
resurfacing. We can do
3 years out.
signal changes. The money would be
Yes.
put to good
It would
use.
be- it would
Yeah,
be-
so 3 years out, if I remember, we went from 60 million plus down to 20 some.
Yeah.
So if we put 2 million in of the surplus this year,
That would
and
be
then
great.
look at funding that in next year also.
And I understand the public safety component, but we deserve something, just seeing what the other.
Well,
County.
transportation is public safety,
Yeah, well,
state
yeah, yes,
roads,
that-
I
thank
mean, a pothole, whatever, something, a light, whatever could cause, an accident, kill you, so I always think
Yeah.
the roads has public safety.
Does
Yes.
anybody, staff or anybody have anything else to add on that?
Nick here? Oh, yeah, so we're thinking about 2 million, right, for this year, right?
We are now.
Yeah.
No, we said that.
We can.
It was 2 million, right? Of
We
the
can
surplus.
definitely consider that for
That would be
the.
bad. Plus, this is the year when we have surpluses like we
But
have.
And then because next year, it's still gonna be super, even with the conservative revenue number, it's still gonna be a big surplus, so it's 2 million next year also, right?
Oh, it should be, yes.
2 and 2, we're starting,
It's a start.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so by the time we get to that 4th year out, you'll have 8 million.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
You have anything else?
No, that's it.
Dawn, you had something?
I did, and this isn't necessarily germane to this committee, but to the county board in general, that, one of the things I appreciated when I served on the Indian Prairie Board of Education was that when people made public comment, the appropriate staff member went to them and talked to them in private about how to get their issues resolved. So I think like Mr. Hoyt and some of the speakers today, just the basic question, who's in charge of this? Is it Woodridge or is it the county? Just basic information. We should be talking to the people, whether it's in committees or in county board of finance. We should have staff go out and follow the people to tell them at least how to resolve their issue.
Well, I'm
Like, oh,
sure,
here's the person to contact, or here's the person to contact. And we did that at the school board, and I think we should do it here as
I
well.
think Chris will do that and has done that in the past, so I'm.
But some people left
Well, I was
though.
gonna ask the question anyway, so I'll get out into a new business, but, I assume these are county roads, but when they're in the village is the police agency that would do the speeding. Correct. So speeding tickets, I assume most of, I'm trying to think of the different areas they said, most of it is in the village of Lyle or Woodridge, maybe Naperville by Worley. Those would all be those police departments would have to do the speeding tickets.
Speeding, and if they do.
Potentially
weight
overweight.
enforcement,
And then the question I had is, because like on 91st Street, we had that issue, it's a 1-laner though, on 91st between 83 and Cass, we had no truck traffic. The issue we have is unincorporated, and so we weren't pulling any of the trucks over waste. Now, I don't know what the limits are.
Well,
Well, so with our
roads.
extra $2 million, we could just build a way station.
what
Oh,
about,
but what's the limit on, because certain roads have the limit, and then there's the overweight, but 91st was a 1-lane on both sides, and that did not allow trucks because of the weight.
okay. So the legal load currently, it used to be 72 and change, 72,000, it's now 80,000 across the board.
Is
And
it on
so,
all roads, no matter if it's a 1-lane residential street, or it's a 2-lane?
unless posted otherwise.
Okay, and so we have the ability to post on some of our smaller county roads.
We do historically, the practice by the county has been if it's structurally deficient, like a bridge, we post it. So you remember a couple of meetings where I talked about the 3 bridges we have
Yeah.
posted.
What about 91st Street? 91st has no trucks.
So 91st is a township facility. So if they pass an ordinance, restricting
So that's a
trucks.
township road, not a county,
Correct.
but it's unincorporated and we just don't have the scales yet to weigh the trucks.
We know the sheriff's office is pursuing training
they have
for
those
that
already.
partnership.
Have we bought the scales?
At this
Can we just
point,
give the money, I mean, we just go buy them, so sure, I mean,
well, I know they were going through some training and some staffing issues to do the enforcement, and learn the requirements of that. We had Oxcart come and give a presentation to them. They do that. With regard to the comments today, 75th Street is a county highway, Yackley, College, Worley are county highways. I heard many comments say that this year it's been pretty
Yes, but
noticeable.
Is there a reason for that
that goes to the limit, you
No?
said, right?
Well,
72.
75th Street's under construction this year and Yackley is under construction this year. So when you see gravel trucks and the like coming from a quarry, you know, we do have work going on Yackley north of Maple. So College begins Maple going south. So that's in many of the communities that we heard from
And as
today.
far as our public commenters, we have their address and we can contact them anywhere. So we'll be responding to them because we have.
That's what we
programs.
would say, we could direct staff to make sure.
Who increased this weight limit from 72 to 80?
That was state law.
The state
Statute.
allowed, right, so
Yes.
that means they're heavier trucks doing more damage to the road.
When did that happen, Chris? This year?
5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years
or
Oh,
more. Yeah.
okay.
So that's when the state statute went into effect. You know, we do permit overweight, overdimension on
Sure,
our
right.
system on an occasional basis.
Are we doing it regional, has the state got that finally done, because we were waiting on that, but to do a joint?
So we talked about like kind of an automated overweight, overdimension system. So we've gone with the Oxcart software and so many municipalities and other
Joint
counties have.
does, right?
So by default, Oxcart is kind of absorbed, at least Northeast Illinois, in terms of you go to one
It's so
resource,
accessible.
you're not permitted through the others,
Is
but
the state on that one though?
the state is, I
So they
don't
still have
believe,
to go to the state and then
they
to us.
still have to get a separate permit from the state. And so they are still working on a regional, they finally got the tollway and the state on the same system.
Have you seen a bigger increase in the amount of permits asked for or for overweights coming in with
You know
range,
what?
et cetera?
I think with Oxcart, it's become so simple that I don't know that our feeling is that we have more compliance than non-compliance. There were a lot of people that would risk going the half a mile on a county route and get the $10,000 fine, but not wait a day to move their goods.
Oh,
So
I
we're,
guarantee that 70% of all these trucks are overweight because we're doing no enforcement. And they know if they can get double the load through, they damage our roads, but they get double the load through, they're gonna, cut
Well,
down
it's
the
an issue we have
transportation.
to address then because it's
Oh,
something.
yeah, it'll, once we start weighing them.
And we have to address the enforcement of covering their loads too, because that's the law. They've got to cover their loads. Yeah.
But they did that, they had the one question, it's the municipality, it's got to issue those.
in
tickets.
terms of
They're all
enforcement of speed
Speed
and.
and, yeah, I think that, the municipality.
So we will.
There is no unincorporated areas, right?
You know what, without looking at the
There may-
map,
okay, there might be.
Brian, I can't tell you, but I
But that
you know,
one
we heard the
off block.
comments about noise. We heard the comments about.
Well, yeah, we got all the issues
Trucks.
and we'll address each one of them individually.
Right.
All right.
And again, I think the increase in the activity on 75th and Yackley is probably contributing.
Well, and then that would
To
be
a-
hopefully
to-
alleviated when they finish that. So, all right, does
That makes
anybody have
sense.
anything else under old business? All right, we do new business. You have the Cmap Safe Streets Grant Opportunities. We wanted to bring it up in this.
Yeah. So there's a new federal grant. It's $1 billion a year, $5 billion over the life of the Illinois, or not the Illinois, the ILJA, the Federal Jobs Act. And so it's Safe Streets for All. And Cmap it encourages two things: develop an action plan for a safety plan, and then an implementation plan. And so DuPage County, John Lopers led the effort. We're one of 4 counties in the state, one of 8 in the country that working through the FHWA, we developed or in the process of developing a local road safety plan. Unfortunately, that plan doesn't meet the entirety of the Safe Streets for All grant requirement. So there's 2 steps. There's an action plan. They'll help fund planning, 80-20 to develop the action plan. And then in future years, once you have that plan, it sets you up for implementation projects. So we were going to submit under the SS4A, I'll call it, to take our local road safety plan and enhance it to be compatible with the SS4A grant criteria. CMAP, Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, recognizes there's 7 counties in the region, so many municipalities that they're looking to do kind of a regional submittal. Under the new ILJA Act, everything is being looked at multi-jurisdictional. Okay, the more partners, the better. So they've approached the county engineers recently and asked our support for participating in the match for that grant. Right now, they're looking at a 5 million, but that's just the maximum you can go for, and the match would be 20%, so $1 million. And so we're waiting here from the other counties, but since we've come so far, I would like to recommend and have your support to continue a dialogue with Cmap that DuPage County would participate in a regional submittal proportionate to what's required to bring an action plan into compliance for DuPage County. There's going to need to be a letter of support for the grant. Likely I'll come either from committee chairman or Chairman Cronin, and then ultimately an IGA to memorialize this relationship prior to the grant, possibly prior to the grant being awarded. But if there's that support, I'd like to continue that path because I think we're going to do far more as a region and a regional voice than just a single submittal. Our submittal would be in the hundreds of thousands, and then we have a match associated with that. So we were going to pay a proportionate share anyway. We'll see where our regional partners come in, but I do think it's valuable for everybody. It's really unfortunate safety with COVID, what they call the vulnerable road users, bike ped, it is through the roof. It is through the roof, and DuPage County, unfortunately, look at the statistics in DuPage County, the fatals on the DuPage County system compared to the state and municipal systems is higher. So obviously that's a concern to us, and I think given that what John has done with the local road safety plan, that as long as I have your support to continue the dialogue with CMAP and bring something forward at a future date.
And everybody is supportive of it, so yes, so thank you for that.
Safety first. Okay, seeing the hour of noon.
Well, do you have anything else? Are you finished with seeing it? Do we have anything else under new business?
I got one more.
Okay.
But just real quick, probably read in the newspaper that the Illinois DOT, the governor released the State of Illinois Transportation Program, I think last Thursday or Friday. So they released it. It's a 6-year program. They talk in 6 years. We typically talk in 5. It's about $25 billion over 6 years, $19 billion at the state level. They also they're responsible for programming local projects that have federal funds. So there's another $6 billion in local projects at the state level. Increased funding statewide. In DuPage, there's about 30 new unique projects, but that could be phases of engineering projects, a lot of maintenance, crack filling, resurfacing, things like that.
Unique.
Well, what I mean is a unique project. Okay, because one project can have 4. It could be construction, engineering, land acquisition, utilities. So it looks like you added 4 projects. You only added 1. You just have 4 phases. So I will say I did look at the list. Historically, DuPage County under Chairman Cronin does send our priority list. 3 of the 4 continue to be in there. They've been in there for 21 years, 22 years, 56 west of 355 in the Downers Grove area.
They go into the extra lanes.
Yeah, there would be the 6 lanes reconstruction. We've asked for 38 at County Farm, 38 at Winfield. Again, they're in the program, but they're in what they call the out years. So it's not in 2023, it's the out year. So they are in there. I have an email to them saying, okay, if it's in the out year, are you targeting 24 or 25? Because we've identified those as kind of critical projects that gone through the federal process. We actually secured several $1 million of funding for 38 at County Farm. So we're anxious to see them get that done. I go through it every day. I'd like to see it done. And then 53 from Butterfield Road south to the Arboretum. You've got flooding, you've got congestion, and that's something we've asked that it be added the last several years, and it hasn't been added. So we'll be reaching out to them to talk to them now they've got this new funding stream coming in, how to get those programmed in the future.
What was the other intersection for 38?
So we got 38 County Farm right here south of the campus, and then 38 at Winfield. So that's the north-south movement. Everybody's heavy right, heavy double left, or need for double left, depending on the time of day.
Okay.
All right. Whew. All right, anybody else has anything under new business? Great meeting today, guys. Thank you. Without objection, we stand adjourned.